This week's episode is brought to you by the forthcoming Bamboo Forest Publishing release, Habst and the Disney Saboteurs, featuring an amazing cover by Cadet Emma Levitt.
Or Emma Levitt. We're not sure. I apologize if we butcher your name. Either way, it's a great cover.
Communicore Weekly. Wanna get geeky? Bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might get some freaking. Waited all week. I'm sure you already know this. Greatest online show. Welcome to season 3.
Hello and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and of course home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff. And thank you guys for sticking with us for the last few weeks. I know last week's episode was a bit an old one. Actually, I went back to listen to it and we said something about being recorded in the 70s or something. So that was really old. I'm not entirely sure about that. But this should be the last week. What was that,
Well,
George?
it's another example of patent pending Communicore Weekly time travel.
Exactly. There was no bloop involved in this one, though. So
No,
whew,
no.
Thank God.
We
But,
upgraded.
We did upgrade. I don't know what we upgraded to. Maybe we downgraded. Who knows? But we have a new show today. So let's listen to this one.
It's time for Disney History.
So this past weekend, I made a long journey up to San Francisco for twofold. First of all, the main reason was because I had some kind of event going on. Nobody really cared about that. But mostly because I wanted to see the Mary Blair exhibit at the Walt Disney Family Museum. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that first. I went there first.
I thought you went up there to throw that ring in the fire.
Oh, I did do that also.
Okay.
My precious gives it I'm
and
not doing that voice now. I mean, I
Okay,
do it
good,
really
yeah.
well, but
Yeah, you in the Gluck Hobbit.
in the
so.
Gluck Hobbit.
The Globbit?
The Globbit? We're gonna go with the Globbit.
We'll go with that. Anyway, so
Sorry.
you're talking about the Mary Blair exhibit at the Walt Disney Family Museum. Sorry, I
Yeah.
digressed.
I was very marginally involved in it. I helped record some bits of Rolly talking about Mary for the audio portion of the tour. So I got tickets to do that as well, and it took place in the special exhibition hall, which was renamed the Diane Disney Miller exhibition hall, which it's gorgeous, by the way. I've never been in that one before. It's very, very nice, and it's just filled with all this artwork from throughout Mary Blair's life, starting in her early days, and then when she was working for animation, a lot of great concept sketches from the El Grupo trip and for the Three Caballeros and Saludos Amigos, all the way up to her personal artwork, her stuff for the little golden books, stuff when she was working on It's a Small World, and of course my personal favorite, there are two wooden crate tops that her and Rolly painted on and designed and did crazy stuff with when they were working on Small World at the World's Fair. And they had two of them there, and one of which Rolly knew was in the exhibit, and then there was a second one that he did not know was going to be there. So it was a nice surprise for him as well when I showed him the picture later on. Immensely talented, this woman was, immensely.
And this exhibit's going on almost until November, right?
It closes the middle of September, so
that's right. Okay.
We kind of had to rush through it because Keith and I had to get to the venue for the event that later on that day. So I'm definitely going to go back to check it out a little more and spend a little more time there. But if you're in the area, it's totally worth the money, and it's totally worth the money for the audio tour as well. It's definitely well worth the value. So definitely go and check that out.
How long do you think people should spend there for that part?
The audio tour itself is probably a little over an hour long if you listen to everything.
Okay.
And then when you stop and read all the cards on the stuff, I mean it's probably a 2-hour trip, maybe even 2.5 hours just for that exhibit alone. But it's worth it. I mean, it goes by quickly. When I was done with my audio tour, I handed it over again. Sorry, name dropping, to Bob Gurr, who was with us, and he thought it was great. He loved he loved staring at her work, and even he said, "This woman was a genius, and I wish I knew her a little better."
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed it.
And Bob didn't take apart whatever audio player that they gave him. And
It was an iPod, and thankfully he did not. And if he did, he would have put it back together.
Well, that's what I say. He would have rejiggered it and made it, even better.
He would have made it a million times better.
Yes,
A
yes. He
million
would have
times
made it
better.
transport you around the museum.
Yes, because that's what
Basically.
Bob does.
That's what he
Bob
does. Okay, so all right, so then you had some kind of little show or something that you were part of or something, right?
Yes, Mr. Gluck and I put on Walt, Wed, and Westcott, and it was, when we did our 30th anniversary of Epcot live show, we had a lot of help from Dusty and Fishbowl from Mice Chat to help put it on.
Yeah.
So this was the first time we had to, that Keith and I had to do an event entirely by ourselves from every aspect, from getting the venue together and, getting all the little pieces in place. So it was very, very nerve-wracking, and surprisingly, for an event, our first event like that, we had no problems. Everything ran very smoothly like clockwork, and it was great. I think we surprised a lot of people with what we had to offer, because not only did we do 2 presentations, Keith and I did one about Westcott, and then we both interviewed Bob Gurr about his career after that, but we also had a lot of raffle goodie prizes. We had goodie bags filled with stuff. We had a lot of FaceTime with people with Bob. We had a camera set up so they can take photos with them, and at the end of the evening we had him sign autographs for everyone. But I think the main thing that a lot of people took away from it were the videos that we showed throughout the night. We started off with a bang with a musical number, which I don't think anyone really expected, with a song written by Andy Taylor of the Communicore Weekly Orchestra. Thank you, Andy. And then we had a Who Was Keith and Jet video, which was okay. I don't think people responded to that as much as we would have liked them to. We had an outtake reel at the very end, but I think the real e-ticket, as Keith called it, we had a video of us going to Bob Gurr's house, which pretty much killed. And I think we decided we're not going to put that video on the internet. We'll probably use it for future events, but if you saw it at the event, you know what I'm talking about. But it was
I saw
great.
it. It was
Oh,
spectacular.
and yeah, I did show it to you.
Yes, I did see it.
I don't think
Yeah.
you saw it with the music and the final cut, but
No, none of the special effects.
yes, it was quite hilarious. And I think we gave away the most unique Disney collectible that anyone will ever have. And it's
lock
okay to
of
say
Keith's
this.
chest hair?
That actually he doesn't have any, as we found out because of this part. It's a signed photograph of myself, Keith, and Bob, but we're all in a hot tub.
The hot tub.
The hot tub from Bob Gurr's backyard. And I think there's already pictures of it on the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook, and everything, so it's no surprise. But I think people thought that was quite hilarious, and it really showed a little more of our humor and how, I guess Bob's humor as well, because he was so open to doing stuff like that with us. But it was a really good time, and I hope people who came out and that are listening to this learned a little bit, not only from Bob, but also from Keith and mine's Westcott presentation. And, as soon as the event was over, of course, Keith already started planning the next one. So hopefully it'll be just as good, and I think we're going to plan on the East Coast, which means, of course, George, you're going to have to be involved in some way.
Well, I'm afraid if Keith is involved, it's going to have a marathon or something in it, too.
No. I'm done committing to marathons with Mr. Gluck. I'm too tired for that. I'm too old for that. Even though he's like 40 years older than I am, I'm too old to be
He was
running
much
marathons.
older than that, wasn't he?
He's pretty old. I mean, I said it a couple of times throughout the evening. I kept ribbing on him how old he was. I don't think he liked me too much after that.
Well, yeah, I think that sounds fantastic. We need to do something on the East Coast, either Walt Disney World or the Upper East. I don't know what's above North Carolina again.
We're probably thinking in the New York area, possibly. Who knows? We don't know. We'll see how it goes. But a big thank you to all the cadets who came out. Some people came already wearing their cadet buttons and came up to me, and I was super happy about that. So it was really great to see people that we've interacted with before that I've never met face to face.
Were there lots of hugs from pretty girls too?
Yes. That sounded really sarcastic. I didn't mean that to come out sarcastically. I'm actually legitimately saying that.
That was a question you didn't expect at all.
I didn't. That totally threw me off. I really meant yes. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but yes, there was. It was wonderful. A lot of pictures. We just had a lot of fun. Basically, we like to have fun. So, thank you again to everyone who came out, and please come out to the next one, wherever it may be, whenever it may be, and go see the Mary Blair exhibit at the Walt Disney Family Museum, and you will not be disappointed.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
The 1939-1940 New York World's Fair by Bill Cotter. released in 2009 with 127 pages. Okay, so I've got another World's Fair book to share this week, and it's not one about the venerated 64 Fair, but its predecessor, the 1939-1940 New York World's Fair. Suffice it to say, there has not been a World's Fair in the U.S. that didn't influence a Disney park, specifically Epcot, in some way. We don't have verified proof that Walt visited the 39 Fair, and when I reached out to animation historian Michael Barrier, he had proof that Walt was in the New York area, and he might have made a visit. We just don't know. But after reading this book by Bill Cotter, I can see a lot of correlations between the 39 Fair and Epcot. I've talked about Bill Cotter before, not only for the new 1964 New York World's Fair book, but because he also wrote The Wonderful World of Disney Television. And besides working at Disney for a time in the 70s, Bill is considered the eminent collector of World's Fair photos and memorabilia. Okay, so this book is another fantastic title in the Images of America series by Arcadia Press. It is full of black and white images that really showcase the 39 Fair, and it gives you a great overview of what a visit to the fair was like. The book is divided into different areas and lands of the fair with a look at some of the major pavilions, whether they were countries or business exhibitors. And as a little tease, and you can make some comparisons to Epcot, they had different zones that they called them. There was the theme center about the fair, the transportation zone, the communication and business system zone, the food zone, the government zone, the community interest zone, and the amusement area.
Let's talk about the food zone. I wanted to go there.
Yeah, I don't think they had corn dogs were debuted, at the St. Louis World Fair, I think?
I don't know. I just want to check out the food from 1939.
We'll do another one of those. Be a little stale at this point in time. So I really enjoy this book. There are many pictures on each page, and Bill has got a lot of text that helps explain what's going on and sort of set the stage. One of the coolest things I learned from the book was that the fair's icons, the Trilon and the Perisphere, were used to promote the fair externally and internally. And during both seasons of the fair, and more frequently in the second season, special images and words were projected onto the Perisphere, which was like a 190-foot wide sphere, much like we've seen done on Spaceship Earth. And during Halloween, they even projected an image of a jack-o'-lantern on the Perisphere.
Did they really?
So, yeah. It sounds
that's kind of insane.
They would say hello and welcome to the fair, but during the Halloween, they put a jack-o'-lantern. I'm like,
but no Mike Wazowski.
No Mike Wazowski. Yeah, I was just getting ready. Yeah, that was the next one. Okay, so what I think is really special about this book is that the photos are all from fair visitors that took the pictures themselves. Cotter has collected them over the years, and he used the best ones that he had in his collection. Instead of the static shots you get from PR or marketing with empty pathways and pavilions, you get a really good sense of how crowded the fair was and how people congregated around certain areas and how they dressed, because most of them were wearing suits and dresses and heels, and I would not want to visit a theme park in heels. You've tried that, right, Jeff?
I have a few times. It was not comfortable, guys.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's also interesting to see the massive queues for the pavilions and the shows, and it makes you really appreciate the queue engineering done by modern theme parks. So this really is a great addition to your library of anyone interested in Disney theme parks and their evolution. When you compare the zones mentioned earlier with the 1982 Epcot Center, it's obvious that the 39 Fair was a major influence. It's not a mandatory purchase. I'm not going to force you to buy it, but I'm really glad I did. I have it in my collection along with the other fair books by Bill Cotter and Bill Young, and I think you'll enjoy this and get a kick out of it. It's called the 1939-1940 New York World's Fair by Bill Cotter.
What we liked, what we didn't like, yays and the booze. 60-second review.
So we're a little bit behind in our official review for the show, even though we did review this a few weeks ago on Mice Chat. But we are finally going to get around to talking about Saving Mr. Banks, which was just released on Blu-ray. And this movie has been through a storm of praise and criticism from all different types of people.
You
in the,
hesitated
Disney
there. I was
community.
wondering what word you were going to think of.
Yeah, I thought
before
it was
you
call
said-
waiting, podcast waiting. We've got another
Podcast waiting?
podcast calling us.
Oh,
and,
no. Not
It
this
was like a
time.
boop.
Bloop.
So, yeah, there's been so much controversy about it. Tom Hanks playing Walt Disney, shooting in Fantasyland today, and, having current attractions there, as well as the, sort of the fictionalization of the story. But, you know what? I loved it. I thought the film was fantastic.
Did you see it
And
in the theaters? I don't remember if you saw it in
No,
the
no, I
theaters or
didn't
not.
see it in the theaters. No, we chose to go see Ender's Game because that's what the 15-year-old wanted to see.
Oh, okay, understandable. But I
Yeah,
mean, when I
begged
saw it in the
you.
theater, I thought it was great too. I mean, I was obviously a highly fictionalized take on the story itself, but I mean, other than that, I found it to be incredibly entertaining. I thought it was very well done, and overall I thought it was great. And it's funny because I'm doing the name drop thing again. I'm sorry, guys, but I was talking to Rolly, and he actually just watched it like 2 days before we recorded this, and we were talking about it, and he was hesitant to watch it at first because he wasn't sure about Tom Hanks as Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And in talking to him, he said he was pleasantly surprised. He said there were a couple of shots where he looked at Tom Hanks and he was like, holy crap, I mean, he is Walt Disney in this shot. So, when somebody that knew him on that personal level gives him that stamp of approval, I think that's a very good sign.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting to hear that. Not many of us were around when Walt was alive, so our memories of Uncle Walt are strictly from what we've seen on television or in PR pieces, and you get a different view. And I thought Hanks did a wonderful job throughout the whole movie. I mean, yes, it was made for the Disney fan, but it was really made for the Mary Poppins fan.
Yes.
The film was,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
there were things that Disney nerds like us were going to just, I went nuts over. When there's a scene where they're all in the story room and the character playing Don DeGrady, hears the cough, Walt's cough, and he goes, "Uh-oh, man's in the forest."
Yes.
And I know for a fact that was a code name that they used.
Nice
to
little
say that-
details that we know about that they included in the film.
Yeah, and that was what, and the one of the last scenes in Walt's office where they're starting to show all the Florida stuff.
And,
I was
and
like,
there's
"Oh,
a
look at
Museum of
that."
the Weird. Museum of the Weird sketch was there too.
It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, the music was great. The gentleman playing the Sherman Brothers did a fantastic job. I think my only criticism was everybody seemed a little younger than they actually were in the 60s.
Well, they have to be good, young and good looking on the screen. I mean, that's how it works.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were some features.
There was, but for whatever reason, I feel like they kind of cheaped out on the special features here.
Well, it's like we've mentioned this before. It's like every first time release of a film, they know you're buying it to get the film.
Yes.
And it's not till they do the re-release 20 years later that you want the special features.
Which I hate because sometimes they cheap out on those 20-year re-releases as well. But
Yes.
I mean, they had that short segment. It was like a 15-minute making of, essentially, which was kind of a standard PR behind-the-scenes piece. And then they also had
but they interviewed a lot of people that had worked at the studios during
That's
that time.
true.
Not execs. I mean, you're talking about people that were mail boys or worked in animation, like the Ink and Paint girls and stuff like that.
True. I really feel like they could have made that longer, and I would have enjoyed it more. I mean, it was still good, but I still feel like it was missing a little more. What else? They had the Let's Go Fly a Kite special feature, which was like 2 minutes long. Again, I would have really enjoyed that being longer. And then just a handful of deleted scenes and trailers for upcoming films. So,
Maleficent, hey.
Yeah, man, that was cool, but I can see that on the internet.
But
I
in
just
high
want a
def
little
and
more.
Blu-ray?
Yes, of
Oh,
course,
okay.
because I have a high def screen.
That's good point.
A big
Okay.
screen on top of that.
But we talked about the fictionalization. I mean, in reality, Walt wasn't there during most of P.L. Travers' time at the beginning when they were trying to woo her. Walt had left on purpose, but that's okay. I think this is but seeing Tom Hanks standing at the front of Disneyland, seeing him walk down Main Street,
That was great.
on the carousel, that was fantastic.
Yeah. So if you can put out of your mind, if you can get out of your head about the inconsistencies and the fakeness of the story, overall, I think it's a great film overall, and I definitely think Disney fans will enjoy it. So are we gonna give this I'll give it 1.5 thumbs up because of the features I was kind of disappointed in.
Yeah, the disappointed with the features, but I was watching with a 10-year-old, and during the Disneyland scene, he leaned into me. He goes, "I want to go to Disneyland right now."
Well, there's
thought,
your excuse,
there
George.
you go.
What are you waiting for?
I want to do a Kickstarter. I figured if Keith Gluck is doing one, I can do one.
Oh, gosh. You gotta be kidding me. But you're coming out in a couple weeks anyway, so it'll be
That's
okay.
true.
That's cool.
That's true.
So go check it out. It's it's pretty much worth the price for the most part.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a five-legged goat.
So when you're in a Bug's Land at Disney California Adventure, you'll notice that everything is very large, like you're the size of a bug. And if you look above your head, you'll see all these three-leaf clovers all over the place because you're in a clover patch. But if you look really hard, and if you know your plants, you know in every clover patch there is one four-leafed clover, and Bug's Land is no different. Directly above the churro cart is the single four-leaf clover, probably meaning that churros are good luck. I guess.
We've known that forever.
We have known that forever. They're also delicious.
Yeah, and usually if you're eating when you're at Disneyland.
Yeah, more than likely. So you clearly do have good luck if you're eating.
Yeah, you're lucky that one.
Because where else are you gonna eat it?
Wow, we'll have to stake that out and kind of hang out during the Communicore.
Yeah. And actually, fun tip, and I learned this from Cadet Nikki, hat tip to her, but that churro cart apparently goes through so much business that they have the freshest churros in all the land. So if you're going to get a churro, get it from that churro cart in a Bug's Land.
Exactly. Cadets Nikki and Dave know their churros and know their corn dogs, that's for sure.
Yes, they do. Yes,
wow.
They do. Hat
well,
tip.
Yeah, hat tip. I was going to say, speaking of corn dogs, I think we're hungry and it's time to go.
I agree.
So, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to us again.
Yes, thanks so much. Be sure to leave us a comment and rate us on the iTunes.
Now, tell us how many churros you think we're worth.
Probably 7.
Probably 7, that's
9.
true. Okay.
9 churros.
9? Yeah, we got to go with 9 churros, that's true. That's our standard rating. Okay, so you can always email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com.
And you can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Communicore Weekly.
And always follow both of us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Imaginerding and he's at Jeff HeimGluck.
Be sure to give us a call and leave us a message on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628.
And don't forget to pick up your copy of Communicore Weekly, the musical, now. The children of the Communicore Weekly Orchestra are starving, and they need your help. And the only way they can feed them is by getting churro money from downloads of the musical. Exactly. Well, for Jeff HeimGluck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff HeimGluck. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
Lifesaver.